Are you ready to feel the power of the dark side? Zombicide, Invader, Dark Side. That's what we're going to explore in this podcast and this vlog. And with a title like Dark Side, how could I resist pulling that narrative in? So with Dark Side, it's both a continuation and a standalone board game based on Zombicide, Invader. And in the narrative of the game, there's this idea that colonists, corporations, they're mining xenium on this planet. And in Invader, it looks at the top side of the planet. So you've got the complex, you've got the open space of the planet. And Darkside takes this underground, underneath, into the mining complex itself. So you can go either way, either set. And there's a lot of similarities being the Zombicide theme, yet at the same time, some interesting differences. And that's what we're going to explore a little bit more in this podcast. You can string them together and have this above ground, below ground, or you can combine everything and just have a massive, massive complex with how to play. This follows in a similar theme to Black Plague and Massive Darkness, where you have the core, you have expansions, you can build and build and build. Darkside and Invader, they mesh perfectly on there. So you can bring the heroes, the actors, the soldiers, the characters over. You can bring the different spawns over. You can bring the mold mechanic. You can bring the cavern mechanic over seamlessly. A lot of possibility, a lot of expansions to push out. The primary difference in both games is in Darkside literally deals with the dark side, drawing a theme from Massive Darkness, which I love, fantastic game, an interesting mechanic of these dark zones in the game, because you're underground. You're literally in this kind of alien-like mine. And there's some structures, there's some buildings that are lit, and you can see in there. But as soon as you move out into the darkness, you can't see. Now, sentry guns and bots can. So what that means is you need some equipment, searchlights or other ways to see in the darkness, or you're finding your way around. You're going hand-to-hand combat, cleaning through the mines. Of course, the Xenos, the aliens, they're suited down there. They can see in the darkness. So it takes that mechanic and on that alone pushes up the difficulty level. Now, there's a little bit of scalability of difficulty in both games. It is Zombicide. You can add some cards, you can take out some cards, but by the very nature of these dark zone pockets and some of the abilities of the Xenos in the core set, I would say that Darkside is a little bit more challenging. If you're familiar with the Zombicide franchise and theme, you're going to adjust. If you're new to the game and this is the entry point in, there is a little bit of a tactical learning curve on there, but not totally out of control. So the heroes. We've got Green Team. Of course, you can pull in other aspects from the other Invader set or the expansions on there. There's the usual equipment of guns and close combat weapons and search items. The mechanics play very, very similar. You have a bot. You have sentry guns. These are kind of extra actors that you can take control of and use in the game if they get destroyed, and this is a big tactical point. If they get destroyed, they don't count towards victory conditions. So it leads a lot of interesting scenarios. So now let's look at the Abominations, because the Abominations are big in every Zombicide franchise. Yeah, you've got the fast-moving hunters. Yes, you've got the workers. Yes, you've got the tanks, all powerful stuff, but you can manage them. When the Abomination breaks out, you better have a plan on there. That really ups the game a little bit. The unique mechanic of the Abomination, the Driller Abomination in Darkside, is where it creates these pits on extra activations. And the pits allow not only spawning points, literally connecting tunnels where these Xenos come up, but also it provides cover. So the idea is as the Xenos, as the zombies move around, they literally take cover in these pits. It makes it harder to hit with ranged weapons. This adds to that very claustrophobic type feel in Darkside. Yes, you've got guns. Yes, you've got grenades. But many, many times, you're going to have to go hand-to-hand on there with shock mauls, hammer mauls, pistols, chain swords, all that type of stuff. Invader tends to favor shooting more. Darkside, the assault more, but there are crossover elements in both. Visually, now I have to say, when I first saw the miniatures, the survivors follow kind of the blend of white/gray miniatures, so you'll be able to pull those in effortlessly and seamlessly. The monsters themselves, the Xenos, are red. And at first glance, I have to say, and a lot of pictures show this online, it might just be the interaction of the camera and the flash. The red of the monsters tends to wash out some of the details. That was my perception, and that's why I want to push this and end with this. Tactically in your hands and visually, the red color is very interesting because the detail is there, so there is a little bit of distortion in the pictures, but the way that they appear on the board, the selection of the color, I was a little bit perplexed, but I really like the red. The red on the literal dark side tiles, the dark tiles, causes this pop effect and causes them to really stand out a lot more than just the Invader part compared to the Invader core set, although those visually are very good also. It was an interesting color choice. Red seemed a little weird, but seeing it in person with the details, nothing's lost, nothing's washed out, they really, really pop as they move around.